clearly. A warm welcome to the session. All of you know by now, you have been attending the session regularly. What we do in this session is we pick up an article and we discuss it. And the aim is to help you understand the article thoroughly so that you will be able to perform, you will be able to do well in the RC passages which will come in the exams later on. And you know by now that we take a lot of articles from different sources, different styles of writing, as what happens in the exams is also similar to that, right? Because in the exam, you will also get different articles, different sources, different styles of writing. And before beginning with anything else, let me quickly show you the YouTube schedule. All of you know about it by now. So you have classes, sessions lined up every day, and all these sessions are priceless. They will definitely help you in increasing and in preparing you for the different exams. Right. And before I begin with anything, let me quickly remind everybody that today, not just today, we did it yesterday also, we did it day after, day before yesterday also, right? What we did was, uh, we have been focusing on how do you retain, how do you recall various points which are there in the passage. For this, we did not use any rocket science, no mumbo jumbo. We simply focused on the basics, that is to understand the structure of the passage, follow the line of reasoning, follow the thought process that you can see in the passage. It's almost like, as I keep on telling you, it's like following a map. Right. So that is what we will do today. And secondly, we will also start focusing on answering questions correctly. Right. Questions, to answer questions, you require, to be very good in interpreting. You require to be very good in interpreting the passage that is there. But apart from that, you also need to be very good in eliminating the wrong answer options. Right. So we will do that also. And those of you who have been attending the sessions regularly will know what is the easiest way to eliminate options. The easiest way to eliminate options is to find what is wrong. Right, galti dhundo, find what is wrong. And when we find, why do I say find what is wrong? Because in the answer options, if even 1% or one word is wrong, that answer option cannot be correct. This is a very simple way of looking at things, right? So a very good morning to all of you. I hope everybody can see and hear me clearly. Shall we begin? Before beginning, right, let me just quickly remind you once again, right, so far in the last 3 4 sessions, we have started using a technique, right? The technique is not rocket science, sabse pehle, right? And it is something which is very simple. It's like you follow the structure of the passage, you connect one paragraph to the other. So what will happen is, after you have finished reading the passage, you will be definitely in a position to understand, acha, ye point kahan se tha, lagbhag, where is this point from? So that way, even if you forget, you will have the option of referring to the part which is relevant and confirming your answers, right? So uh, thank you everybody for your warm wishes. And by the way, uh, your 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 uh, your your queries reached me just now. Anyway, now things will be updated very soon. So very good morning to all. Right. So let's begin the discussion. This is the first slide. I hope everything is visible. Right. Now, first two paragraphs, right? I always tell everybody to be careful when you read the first two paragraphs, because essentially beginning में ही पता चलता है कि author क्या कहने वाला है, what is he trying to tell you. So that is what we get to know right at the beginning, right? So understand what the author is trying to say. Read it for some time, no problem. First slide, I will read it with all of you. We will do it together. Let's see. Right. And by the way, what are the words that you do not know? Probably paltry basically means very small amounts, meager. Right. Excavation is digging up things from the ground. Right. So thanks a lot everybody for all your warm wishes. Right. I hope everybody is able to understand. Let's see. So archaeology as a profession faces two major problems. What is the problem? It is the poorest of the poor. Matlab it is there is no money in it, right? So funds are very scarce, right? So very small sums are available for excavating. What is archaeology? Study of old things, and old things are mostly found underground because they would be all covered, right? So they would be all buried, as in naturally, right, or otherwise they are generally found underground. So excavating is one of the major, major means of learning for them. And he's saying there is funds are not available, right? So archaeologists deal with priceless objects, right? Priceless here does not mean something जिसका price zero है. Priceless here means value इतना है कि मतलब you cannot put the price on it. ठीक है, right? And second, there's the problem of illegal excavation. So he's telling you two problems. One, there is less money, and दूसरा, there are people who dig up illegally, right, and they sell it to the highest bidder. Bidder is somebody who takes part in an auction. Right. So I hope everybody understood. So he begins by highlighting the first, the two problems that archaeologists face. What are the two problems? समझ के चलो. First, there is very little money, funding available है ही नहीं. And दूसरा, there are people who illegally dig up things and sell it to the highest bidder in an auction. So black market की बात कर रहा है. ठीक है. भाग्येश, word power made easy definitely will be helpful. लेकिन मैं बता दूं, do not stop there, right? Because word power made easy will only tell you a limited number of words. Make it a daily habit. Words which you come across every day, if you learn them, if you become familiar with them, right, it will lead eventually to a very good vocabulary, right? So every day, if you come across 10-15 words even, that is more than enough. Right. Everybody is understanding. I think everybody is clear. First paragraph, what is he saying? Archaeology के दो problems है, right? कार्तिक राठौर, बिडर एग्जाम्पल देखो. बिडर मतलब जो ऑक्शन में बोली लगाते हैं, दैट इज बेसिकली अ बिडर. जैसे मूवी में नहीं होता, किसी कोई चीज नीलाम हो रहा हो तो द पीपल हु बिड, जो ऑक्शन में जो पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं. सो दैट मीन्स while it is sold in the black market to the person who is willing to pay the highest price, right? Aniket, is this from any exam? This is from an old, this is from a very old GMAT question, right? So that is, probably why you might have read it. Now, so there are two problems. One is that there is little money, and दूसरा, illegal black market में things which are to be studied by archaeologists, they are dug up and they are sold, right? Now, straight away, second paragraph, you will see that the author is making a suggestion. What is outrageous? Something that is shocking is an outrageous suggestion, right? What is an artifact? Artifact is anything that is made by human beings, right? Any object that is made by human beings is an artifact. Of course, will not be a building, right? But anything like pottery, right? Anything, any article, pottery हो सकता है, could be day to day use items. Anything that is made by human hands is called an artifact, right? Okay, so what is the author doing here? So he's saying there is one solution to this, right? The solution will solve both the problems. पैसे भी आ जाएंगे और illegal digging वो भी खत्म हो जाएगा. कैसे? His solution is all the archaeological expeditions, right? Government sell excavated artifacts on the open market. He's saying the best way to solve both the problems is to sell it in the open market. इससे क्या होगा? लॉजिक लगा के देखो, अगर ओपन में मिलने लग जाएगा तो there will be no need for a black market, and second पैसे भी आ जाएगा. So this is basically his very shocking, what they call, a very shocking kind of a suggestion that he's making. Right? Such sales would provide substantial funds and etc. So it's like he's telling you the results. At the same time, they would break the leg. They would break the they would break the excavators' grip on the market. Market में देखो, if something is available legally, why would people buy from the black market? Right. So what is inducement? Inducement is nothing like what makes people do something, like motivation or attraction. Right. Everybody got the point, I hope. So, if you read these two paragraphs, you will very easily understand what the author is telling you. He's telling you there are two problems with archaeology: lack of money and black market made archaeological things are being illegally sold. He's saying it can be solved by one simple thing: start selling archaeological things which you find underground, historical things. Start selling them in the open market legally, right? So that is his solution. Everybody has read it so far. Everybody understood. Shall we change the slide? All clear, I hope. Yes. Now this is the next slide. Take some time to read it and also keep track of whatever he has told you in the first slide. 20 seconds, read this and then we will quickly discuss. All reading it, I hope. Right. So try to connect whatever you're reading here with what you have also read in the previous slides. Previous slide mein kya tha? He was suggesting, right, to prevent the problem of lack of money and illegal black market, why don't you sell historical artifacts in the open market? Now, what is he doing in this paragraph? He is saying, start, look at the first line, you will understand very easily. You might object that, so the moment you say you might, he is telling you what could be the objection that you, as in the readers. So, what will people object? The objections are that, right, first of all, there are two objections that he anticipates. First objection is that professionals excavate to acquire knowledge, not money. So money is not the source, money is not the motivation behind excavation, right? And second, right, it whatever we get from the ancient times, it should be available to everybody. It should not be sold to the highest bidder, right? So it should not be sold to the person who pays the highest. It should be available for everybody. Heritage is basically part of what we inherit from our previous generations, right? So Siddharth, yes, reasons for not selling, as in a way, author ने जो solution suggest किया, he himself is saying you might say yes, the solution is wrong because of this, right? This is a way of arguing, and if you notice, I agree. He's saying, okay, I agree with your objection, right? You should not sell anything that has scientific value, right? But you might reply everything that comes out of the ground has scientific value. Here we part company. Part company means this is where we start having different opinions. Right. So in a way he's saying there's nothing wrong in selling, right? Because you might say that whatever is scientific should not be sold. Right. He agrees saying that yes, right, there's nothing wrong, what you're saying is fine. But then everything that comes up from the ground does not have scientific value. Right. So he is saying practically you are wrong. So he is saying that it is wrong to think that everything that we excavate from the ground is scientific. Right. How does he say this? We will know it in the next paragraph. So चीजों को anticipate करके चलो. Everybody is clear. So next slide. Let's see. Everybody is read it, I hope. Everybody understood. Right. So selling would be wrong, right? And he anticipates the objections also, and he says that you might say that everything that comes out of the ground, any old thing is scientific, so we should not sell it. Right. Now he's saying you are wrong. So whatever he is giving here is proof of his claim. What was his claim? His claim was that whatever is excavated, whatever is ancient, whatever is buried may not be always scientific, may not be always valuable, may not be always scientific. So this is what he should be looking at. Let's see. Focus on the word duplicate here. Everybody is reading the first paragraph, I hope. Right. So this first paragraph is his reply to the possible question that everything that is old has scientific value. So why should we sell it? He's telling you no. Everything that comes out of the ground does not necessarily have value. Q, because sometimes there are thousands of things that are essentially duplicates of one another. Here, the word duplicate does not mean fake copy. Duplicate here means they are similar to each other. समझ में आ रहा है? So the word duplicate can mean fake copy, right? Here he does not mean that. He means duplicates, meaning they are essentially the same. Then he gives you an example. In Cyprus, right, you have found 2000 small jugs. All of them are similar, right? And Lemach handles, right? क्या है? Lemach handles, royal seal impressions. Impressions are basically nothing else but like a stamp, right? So known as Lemach handles. This is the name, right? Have been found. So there are so many of them which are found, and essentially they are all the same. So that means what is selling is saying is, even if you sell some of them, क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है? They are all the same, right? You do not get just one piece. Sometimes you get them in thousands. Sometimes you get them in, let's say, hundreds. So even if you find 5 things which are similar, and if you sell some and keep some, there's nothing wrong. It is not going to be lost. Everybody understood this paragraph, I hope. Right. Now, next paragraph, I'll give you another 30 seconds to read, and then we will discuss. Now, in this paragraph also, he is telling you the advantages of selling artifacts on the market, right? First, इससे पहले वाले paragraph में, I mean, in this first paragraph here, he has told you that you can sell them because some of them are available in huge numbers, so there's nothing, it's nobody's lost if you sell them. Okay. Then he is telling you the problems that might happen if you do not, the problems that are there because of not selling. Museums, right? I mean, the basements are not large enough. Once it is kept, it is not properly catalogued. Catalog means entry things, records are not properly kept. So sometimes you do not even know, once it goes into the museum, you do not even know whether it is there or not. मतलब खो ही जाता है. It is kept somewhere, nobody knows where it is, right? So he's saying, instead of this, if you maintain proper records and sell it to somebody, if you document it properly and keep it, right, it will not be lost because you can retrieve it afterwards, right? So this is basically, yes, correct. Siddharth is telling you, selling करेंगे तो क्या होगा advantage, and अभी क्या गलत हो रहा है, right? That is what is telling you in this paragraph. Everybody got the point, I hope. So what is the author doing so far? He is proposing a solution to the problem, and he is telling you his arguments based on that. Okay, all clear, everybody? Yes. Shall we change the slide? I hope everybody understood. Right. This is the last slide. Right. So you know very clearly what the author is telling us, right? So it will be easier for us to answer questions, right? So that's what I was telling you. This is the way in which we should read, right? Connect the parts to each other, right? In short, एक पैराग्राफ या एक लाइन पढ़ने के बाद दिमाग में एक आइडिया होना चाहिए कि अच्छा ये है, दिस इज व्हाट इज सेइंग. ठीक है. कौशल, बल्जिंग. बल्जिंग बेसिकली मीन्स प्रोट्रूडिंग, या फिर सपोज बल्जिंग है, सपोज अगर किसी का स्टमक निकल रहा हो तो यू से स्टोमक इज बल्जिंग, बाहर की तरफ निकलना. ठीक है, बल्जिंग इज दैट. ठीक है, क्लियर? Next slide, what is it doing? It would be unrealistic to suggest that illegal digging would stop if artifacts were sold on the open market. So he's saying completely stop to nahi hoga, but the demand would be reduced. What is clandestine? Clandestine basically means something that is illegal, something that is done secretly. Right? Clandestine, not according to the rule, against the rule or against the law. Right? So he's saying इलीगल डिगिंग 100% स्टॉप तो नहीं होगा, लेकिन डिमांड कम हो जाएगा, राइट. व्हाई वुड द डिमांड बी लेस? ही इज गिविंग यू द आंसर इन दिस क्वेश्चन, राइट. Who would want an unmarked pot when another was available whose provenance basically means origin, ठीक है. Stratigraphically, graphic is dating, stratigraphically is nothing else but देखो archaeologists, right, according to the layers of earth they decide which age does it belong to, right, because older ones सबसे नीचे होते हैं. So stratigraphy is nothing else but properly record करके रखना कि which layer belongs to which age, right. So what is telling you here is that if you make available on the open market those properly documented and properly chronologically timed things in the market, nobody would buy it from an illegal market because illegal market में research नहीं होगा, right. They will not know ये कहाँ से आया है. So it's almost like if you देखो simple चीज है, in a place where liquor is banned, right? If you start selling liquor from the government, people will stop buying from the black market, right? So authentic log kharidenge, right? So Vikram is saying such logical passages are interesting. Yes, कई बार if you notice even in CAT, right, you come across many such passages which are related to scientific research, right? And the tone of this author is, if you notice, he is doing a very logical, giving you a logical argument, right? He's giving you a very proper logical argument. ठीक है, right? Shall we look at the questions now? Yes. Let's see. Now, the primary purpose of the passage is to propose. What is it doing? We have discussed this. We already know it because we have completely analyzed the passage. So let's see now what is the primary purpose of the author. Right. देखो Pinky, stratigraphically based. Strata basically means layer and graph means marking. So stratigraphic marking is a technique archaeology में लोग करते हैं, right? कौन सी चीज which age does it belong to? They decide it according to the layer in which it was found in the ground. So that is called stratigraphic marking. ठीक है. इन शॉर्ट ये बताना कि ये किस एज से मिला है अकॉर्डिंग टू द लेयर, अकॉर्डिंग टू कितने कितने लेयर्स नीचे मिले हैं. ठीक है. सो व्हाट शुड बी द आंसर? व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ द ऑथर? Vaishnavi tone is not nostalgic. Nostalgic nahi. Nostalgic basically is like remembering the past and feeling sad. No, the tone is very logical arguments. He is giving you a proper argument. ठीक है. So he is very logical, so giving a very proper logical argument. He is objective, giving you a proper argument. Right. So far, everybody, Rishabh, Siddharth, Vikram, Bhagesh, Prasanna, Aniket, Vaishnavi, Kunal, everybody says the answer is B. Correct, right? ये तो if you this is the advantage of reading carefully, right? Second paragraph में ही बता दिया था ना कि he wants to propose a solution to the problem, right? The entire passage is telling you अगर ये करेंगे तो क्या फायदा होगा, ये नहीं करोगे तो अभी क्या नुकसान हो रहा है, right? So he's telling you the advantages of, he wants people to sell, right? So that is nothing else but the way to solve the two problems, right? So the two problems are what? Illegal digging and पैसे भी नहीं है. So he is looking for a solution to the problem. So the best answer is everybody understood, I hope. सबको समझ में आया? Nothing difficult, I think. All clear? Right. Okay. Let's look at the next question. Right. Everybody who answered it got the answer correct. So this is what you should also do in the exam. Right. I agree, exam may, because of the added pressure, things will become a little bit more challenging, might become a little bit more difficult. But if you maintain your cool, if you proceed like this, right, if you proceed in a very, proper logical way like this, you should be able to answer the questions. Let's see. The author implies that all of the following statements, Vaishnavi, he is telling you the merits and demerits of not the same thing. एक चीज के मेरिट्स बता रहा है, राइट, और उसको ना करने का नुकसान बता रहा है. So that way he is not telling you the merits and demerits of the same thing. He is suggesting that we should do this. If you do not do this, क्या प्रॉब्लम है and इससे क्या क्या फायदा होगा. Okay, so it would not be proper to say it is demerits and merits. It is like merits of one thing, right? Of course, the other thing opposite उसका demerit तो बताता है. ठीक है, right? Now, which of the following is to accept? अच्छा. Now, this depends to a great extent. Okay, many people, okay, some people have started answering. सिद्धार्थ को C, right, and बहुत लोगों को E भी लग रहा है. अच्छा, बहुत लोगों को ई भी लग रहा है. एनीवे, I'll confirm the answer very shortly. अच्छा, what do you mean by it depends a lot on the meaning of this duplicate? What does he mean by duplicate? By duplicate, does he mean fake or does he mean similar? In fact, his argument is based on this, that when we find things, they are not found uniquely. Sometimes, or in most cases, you find many of them which are similar to each other. That is why एक को सेल कर दो, कोई ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. So that was his entire argument. ठीक है. Now what should be the you know the meaning of duplicate does not mean that it is less in quality, right? So what is wrong is that such artifacts frequently exceed in quality. They are neither more or neither less. All of them are equal in quality. Duplicate का मतलब तो यही था ना. So the answer is E. It does not, they are similar, right? So how can these artifacts be better in quality than the ones which are available in the museum? It's not that they are, they are of a different thing altogether, right? So duplicate, so the best answer is that. Now, okay, many of you are saying answer is B. B में क्या problem है? Let's see. Such artifacts seldom have scientific value. देखो, if you notice, साइंटिफिक वैल्यू नहीं है तभी तो सेल करना है. डज इट नॉट से दैट you can sell them because they have no scientific value, they have little scientific value, तभी तो सेल करना है. So this cannot be the answer. This is correct. So what is correct cannot be the answer. Do you understand now? Right, they are available in bulk, तो scientific value कहाँ रहा, तभी तो सेल कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. So B is something which cannot be the answer. It is correct. ठीक है. What about a market for such artifacts already exists? अगर market exist नहीं करता तो how is the author suggesting that we should sell? Demand है तभी तो कह रहा है कि it is something which we should be selling. So A cannot be the answer because it is correct. B cannot be the answer because B is also correct. Right? There's likely to be a continuing supply. This is also critical reasoning. देखो, he is saying we should sell. Sell तो तभी करेंगे जब supply होगा और demand दोनों होगा. Right? So A and B are correct. Right? Museums are well supplied with such examples of such artifacts. Right? Museums में है बहुत सारी चीजें तभी तो वो loaded है. By the way, right? You just have to find something which is wrong. And what is wrong is this. Right? Everybody understood? Right, so this is basically a very good way of answering the question. All clear, I hope. Okay, so the best answer is E. So let's see next question. Now this is if you look at it, this is a directly something which is more like a point that is given directly in the passage, right? Given directly in the sense it is like it may not be in the exact words, same exact words, but it will be indicated in one part, definitely. Right. What should be the answer? Okay. So people have started answering. This is a matter of remembering, right? Even if you do not remember in the exam for such questions, you just have to go back to the passage and confirm. I will quickly tell you disadvantage of storing museums का कहाँ mentioned है directly यहाँ mentioned है ना. He says the basements of museums. It is given directly here. What is happening is that once they are stored, right, as there is not enough money to catalog, as a result, they cannot be found again and become inaccessible as if they had never been discovered. So, this is the problem with museums. What is happening in museums is, I mean, once it is found, there is no fund to catalog. So, what happens is, once it is, kept in the museum, it is almost like, you cannot be found. They cannot be found again. So, the answer is okay. Now, everybody is clear. This was a directly mentioned. That line tells you now that there are very few, there are very, let's say, less funds uh, for cataloging. Because of which, what happens is, once it is found, once it is kept, nobody even remembers kaha hai. So that means the best answer is E. Everybody got the point. I think so far answers are not very difficult. Right now. Again, understanding based question है ये, right? Why does the author mention the excavation in Cyprus? I mentioned it. I took a little bit of a pain to explain it, so I will not show you the relevant part. I expect you to remember. Cyprus क्यों mention करता है, right? So quickly think about this question. Let's see. Why does the author mention Cyprus? So understanding based questions, right? And if you notice, even in CAT, right, around 60-70% of the questions are understanding based questions, right? I mean, हर question उतना challenging नहीं होगा, हर question इतना easy भी नहीं होगा. So that is what we can look at. Okay, let's see. Vikram is the first to answer, right? Others can also join in, right? I'm not saying, okay. Vikram, Rishabh, Bhagyesh, uh, Prasanna, Abhi, Bharat, Vaishnavi, Siddharth, everybody is answering, and everybody thinks that the answer is C. Hirendra Singh Chauhan, Aniket, Siddharth, everybody. So everybody is answering C. Correct. Right. Cyprus, why does he say? He says in Cyprus, right? He mentions that to say that everything is not scientific. Sometimes you find them in thousands, right? If you notice, he mentions it here, Cyprus, when he tells you, right? Just look at where he mentions Cyprus, right? Cyprus mention करने से पहले he says potential scientific value, practically you are wrong, and to prove you wrong he gives you this example. So in Cyprus people discovered thousands, 2000, virtually indistinguishable jugs, which means they are all similar. Therefore, so they are question number, इसका answer should be C, right? So artifacts that are not uniquely valuable and therefore are available in large quantities, in huge numbers, 2000, 3000, right? So that is what is telling. Everybody got the point, I hope. Yes. Okay. Shall we try the next question? Let's see. There are 6 questions. This is the 5th one. Right after that, we will come to the 6th one also. Now, this is critical reasoning type ka. If you understand the core of the argument, you will understand very easily. Right. So, the author's argument concerning the effect of the official sale of duplicate artifacts on illegal excavation is based on which of the following assumptions? So, सेल करोगे तो illegal excavation खत्म हो जाएगा. कैसे खत्म होगा? So that's what is asking. Right. So everybody is answering yes, everybody is correct, right? Because if I mean there is demand for such things, and if you make them available in the open market, everybody would prefer to buy authentic rather than buying from the black market. So that is what is the idea. Right? Everybody got the answer correct. Good. Right. Anush is saying C. Anush, computers could be used to trace. See, computers could be used to trace sold artifacts. It is not going to impact illegal excavation. राइट इलीगल एक्सकेवेशन क्यों खत्म होगा बिकॉज अगर ओपन मार्केट में लीगली अवेलेबल है तो लोग ब्लैक मार्केट में क्यों जाएंगे पीपल वुड वांट ऑथेंटिक स्टफ राइट इन शॉर्ट इफ यू वांट टू बाय ऑथेंटिक स्कॉच whiskey you will and if it is available in a government shop why will you go to the black market you would like something authentic right so the best answer is A. Everybody got the point I hope right last question for the day is the next one let's see. The author anticipates which of the following initial objections to the adoption of his proposal. Right. This is again, remember, he says his solution is this. Some people might object, and there were two objections given. Right. I will not show you the part again. If I show you that part, will become very easy. Try to use your retention power and elimination of the answer options to find the correct answer. Right, there could be, he says, now you might object saying this, you might object saying that, right? So there are some objections mentioned in a particular paragraph, right? So which of the objections, right, is anticipated by the author? You'll have to look from the options and eliminate. Let's see. What is the answer? Okay. So different answers. वैष्णवी B ऋषभ को C लग रहा है. Let's see. Vikram also thinks answer is C. Siddharth को भी C लग रहा है. But that means if you get this answer wrong, right, in the exam, whenever in doubt, objection जो है वो कहाँ mention करता है? Okay, Bharat is saying answer is E. Right, majority are saying answer is C. Now, to confirm the answer is basically C. Okay, it is there in the second slide. I'll tell you. देखो, what are the objections? His objections are. I'll show you. देखो, his you might. This is where he says. ये तो first slide था. Second slide. You might object that the first objection is right. It is knowledge which is important, not money. Second, it should not be available to the highest bidder. ठीक है, right? And I agree, right? So in a way, if you notice, these are the two objections, right? What are the two objections? Number one is that we, archaeologists का aim is not money, knowledge, and दूसरा, uh, whatever is found, whatever has scientific value should not be available to the highest bidder, right? It should be available for everyone to observe. So that is what you, second objection is what you find here, right? It will be sold to private collectors. It should be available to everybody. So this is what is it in other words. Okay. So if you notice, 60% of the questions that you come across, around 60% of the questions that you come across in CAT are like this, are like what we have seen here, right? So yes, it is only some, around 30 to 40% of the questions which are challenging, right? Of course वहाँ से that is what decides the scoring part also. So with that we come to the end of the session. Before we end, let me quickly ask you, you must have found the passage easy to medium. Let me tell you again, many factors. एक तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा challenging नहीं, I agree, but then there are other factors contributing to it also. That is, number one, we are discussing it very thoroughly. Number one. Number two, you have time का हम बहुत ज़्यादा limit. Of course, I cannot give a lot of limit to time also because you have not you don't have the passage with you. I am showing it to you, right? And तीसरा, exam pressure नहीं है, right? So that's exactly why. But then important thing is structure समझ के चलो, connect the paragraphs to each other, connect the ideas to each other. That is what will help you answer the questions better, right? So this is the practice which we will continue every day, right? So before we end, in the meantime, let me tell you about this Teachers Day sale, right? So you can use this code teach25 and get the flat 50% discount on any of your super subscriber, you know, purchases, right? And these are some of the courses which are opening up, and these are the teachers who take your classes. All of you familiar with them right now. And super subscription plans are divided into two, in the sense that you can subscribe for 1 year, you can subscribe targeting CAT 2021 and CAT 2022, two different, varieties. Right? So with that, we come to the end of the session. I will meet you again tomorrow, 10 o'clock, and we will continue this entire exercise. Right. So that's it for today. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.